Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, then let's move forward with pronoun. Okay, so what is a pronoun? So whenever we talk about someone, so whenever we talk about a noun, we avoid using the noun multiple times in a sentence and then we replace it with a pronoun. For example, now if I give you a group of sentences like this: Kevin is my friend, Kevin is 20-year-old, Kevin lives in Chennai, and Kevin is very smart and intelligent. So here we will replace Kevin. Instead of using it so many times, we will say he is 20-year-old, he lives in Chennai, and he is very smart. Okay, so one thing that you'll have to remember when you'll replace Kevin by a pronoun, okay, is the gender. So if it's a male, we are going to use a he, and if it's a female, we're going to use she. Okay, and also the number. Now Kevin is singular here, that is why we are going to use the singular verb, that is. So two things are important. One is the gender and one is the number of the noun that you all are replacing. Okay, so it is so pronoun is something that is used after introducing the noun to avoid the repetition of the noun. As I said, points to remember the number and the gender of the subject. Okay, so let's move on to the types. Okay, so the types, so these are 8 types. As we move forward, we will study one by one. Okay. Okay, so for the first type is personal pronouns. So what are personal pronouns? So first, if I am having a conversation with my mother about my brother, then I will be the speaker. I am talking about my brother. Whom am I talking to? I'm talking to my mother. She is going to be the listener. And whom are we discussing? We are discussing my brother. So the brother is going to be the discussed one. He is going to be the third person of the conversation. Yeah. So the first person is I am the first person, my mother is the second person, and the one we are talking about is going to be the third person. So in any conversation, there is always going to be a first person, second person, and third person. Okay. Okay, so before we begin, let's first understand what is a subject and a predicate. So whenever we make sentences, okay, you introduced a person or a thing or an idea or animal, and then we say something about it. Okay, so whatever we are talking about becomes the subject, and whatever we talk about that person or thing becomes the predicate. So basically the subject, so the sentence is in 2 parts. One is subject and one is what we talk about it, which is a predicate. Okay, so every sentence is made of a subject and a predicate. So if I say Rita is a good girl, so whom are we talking about here? We are talking about Rita. So Rita is the subject of our sentence, and whatever we say, okay, this can be, the predicate can be very small, like this is a very small sentence here or a longer sentence, but the subject is always going to be what we introduce. Okay, then he has good memory, so he is going to be subject here, and has good memory is going to be predicate. Nature is the best physician, so nature is going to be the subject here. Okay, and the predicate is the rest of the sentence. So that sentence can have a verb, adjective, noun, article, and sometimes an object. So now I will tell you all after this slide what an object is. Okay, so if I say Rita is a good girl, so is a good girl, which is the remaining sentence, is the predicate, right? So we have a verb here, we have an article here, we have an adjective here, we have a common noun here. So what is an object now? Okay, so whenever we make a certain sentence, it says we introduce 2 people, okay, or we talk about 2 persons or 2 things. So one is the main subject that we're talking about, which is performing an action, and one is someone on whom the action is being performed. That is, if I give you all a sentence, Sonali purchased a laptop. Okay, so what we have studied now, according to subject and predicate, Sonali is going to be the subject, right? And purchased a laptop is going to be the predicate. Yes, right. But then we have the laptop, which is there here. This word laptop is the object. Okay, so basically object is the subset of the predicate. So Sonali is doing the work of what? Of purchasing the laptop, but the laptop is also having an action on it, right? The laptop is being purchased by Sonali, so laptop is going to become the object of the sentence. We'll take few more examples. Okay, so see. So don't get confused between object and predicate. A predicate will consist of an object always. predicate is just the remaining part of the sentence, which is not the subject. So if I give you all a sentence like this, Rita told Dave. Okay, so here, whom are we talking about? We're talking about Rita. Okay, so Rita is the subject. The remaining sentence is going to be the predicate, and here she told Dave, right? So Dave has also heard something. So there is some action that was performed on Dave. So Dave is going to become the object. Okay. Then Rita told me. So Rita is the subject. Told me will become the remaining sentence will become the predicate, and then me will become the object. Okay. Basically, there are two identities in that sentence. One is Rita and one is me. Okay. So me is going to be the object here. I told Dave. So the subject is I, and the action is being performed on Dave. So Dave is going to be the object. Is this clear? Okay. So again here, she told me. See, at times here, I was the subject. Okay, here I was the subject. Me is never the subject. Me is always in the form of object. Okay, then I told you. So you is again going to be the object here, and I is going to be the subject. But in the same case, if I tell you all, you told me, then what is going to be the subject here? Your you will be the subject, and me will become the object. Sorry, this is incorrect. Me will become the object. Me will become the object. So here, if you notice, here you, I was the subject and you was the object. In this case, you is the subject. You is used as both subject and object. Okay. I am telling all this because we have to study this table further. Okay. Okay. So now with these sentences, just tell me what is the subject and the object and the predicate. See, whatever is remaining in the sentence now becomes the predicate. An object is the subset of the predicate. So you told me, right? The subject is you. Once you pick out the subject, whatever is left becomes a predicate. Okay. In these sentences, what we studied earlier, he has good memory. Here there was no object. Here there was only subject and predicate. There was no other third person or second identity involved. Here it was just giving us plain information. Okay. Nature is the best physician. Here also again there is no other identity. So now tell me the subject, predicate, and object in the eighth sentence. See, you all don't have to tell me the predicate, just tell me the subject and the object. Okay. Ninth sentence. He will become the subject and you will become the object. Okay. 10th sentence. Apart from Rahul, you guys also reply. Yeah, you is the sub. In the 10th one, you is the subject and Jasmine is the object. In the 11th one, okay, you is the subject, him is the object. Now 12th one, be careful with this one, okay? See, in this one, Rahul, there is no object in this case. This is just a subject and predicate. This is just subject, okay? We are not introducing anyone, so there is no object. Okay. 13th one. Yes. Is there an object in the 13th one? Yes, right. 14th. 14, there is no object, but what is the subject? Yes. Right. And Sam helped us. Okay. Okay. And in this case, if you see mine and theirs, okay, these are possessive cases. Okay, yours, theirs, ours. These are possessive cases of pronouns. So if I give you this in tabular form now, this table is very, very important for all the topics ahead and for pronouns, especially pronouns. You have to know this topic. So that is why I told you. So see, first person, second person, and third person, and subject, object, and at some sentences we use the possessive case. Okay. So whenever we have first person, that is the speaker who is talking, okay, he will become the subject and he is introduced as I or we. I hate you or we hate you. Then he's going to be the subject. Okay. And as I said, the second speaker, it's going to be you. Subject, you exist as subject also, you exist as object also. I shown that example. I told you and you told me. So you is always used as you in any sentence, as even as subject, even as object. Now the third person, he, she, it, or they. And when it is used as an object, him, her, it, and theirs. So if there is a sentence, I told him, I will be the subject, him will be the object in third person. Okay. And these are possessive cases. If you want to note it down, or just try and remember them. Just have a quick glance at it. See, so these are very important. These are very easy to remember. Just I and we and me and you. Remember these two and these two. You will be the same. And here, remember these he, she, and him, her. Okay. So now if I want to just quickly know how much all of grasped, we is going to be what? We is going to be subject. Me is going to be object. He and she is again going to be subject. It is going to be both subject and object. See, it was subject and object. Okay, they is going to be subject. Theirs is going to be possessive. You is going to be both subject and object. Where is predicate coming from? Have you all got this? Did you all understand? Okay. So now before we move on with the rules, okay, you all need to know this, okay? This table. So the entire point of teaching you all subject, object, and predicate was so that you all know what subject is, what object is. Okay. So now before we move on to the rules, just I want you all to know what is to be form. So when we say to be form of a verb, okay, so am, is, are, was, were, be, and been. These are all to be form. So if I say the sentence, if I this phrase to be rich, if I want to say, put it in to be form, then it is going to be I am rich, she or he is rich, you, we, were, they are rich. So depending on the pronoun that you're using, okay, this to be form changes. So when we go to the rules, okay, so the first rule is whenever we have a to be form of a verb, use pronouns in subjective case. Now what does this mean? Suppose I have a sentence, it was him who helped me. Okay, so here we have to be form, that is was. Okay, so after was, what are we going to have? We should have a he, we should have a subjective case. So when I said subjective case, that means the subject and the object table that I gave you all. In that table, under subject, we had he. If you all see this table, under subject, we have he. Okay, he, she, it, they. I, we, he, she, it, they. So whenever we will have a to be form of verb, that is was, then we will have a I, she, he, or it, or they. So if I have was, then I will have a he here. It was he who helped me. It was him will become incorrect. Okay. Similarly, if I have this sentence, the officers of the company are. Are is again a to be form. So Anil, Bharat and me is going to be incorrect. And the sentence is going to be the officers of the company are Anil, Bharat and I. See, these are very important rules, okay? In sentence correction, a lot of times we get these questions. Again, if we have a sentence, it was them who called last night, this is again incorrect because we have was, okay? So whenever there is to be form, we are going to have the first person, that is they. The subjective form, that is they. Okay, again, it was her who sang the poem is incorrect because we have was, that is a to be form. We are going to have it was she who sang the poem. Is this correct? Now the whole point of studying the subject object, we needed to apply these rules. Okay, so moving on. Okay, now this is the second rule. So we have to use a pronoun again in a subjective case after than. For example, if my sentence is Sheetal is smarter than him. This is, we always tend to say this, but this is incorrect. Sheetal is smarter than he is. Okay, subjective case, again we should have a he, she, I, we, or they. Okay, so after than, after to be, and after than, we are always going to have a subjective case. Okay, even after but, whenever we have a but, we'll have a subjective case. No one loves you but she. Okay, this is correct. No one loves you but her will be incorrect. No one will teach you maths but I. Again, this is correct. I is again the subjective case. Okay, so in three conditions we are going to have a subject, that is in case of to be, in case of than, and in case of but. Now, so when do we have an objective case? So we'll have an objective case whenever we have a sentence structure in the form of between some words and some words. For examples, you have to choose between her and I. This will be incorrect. Whenever we have between and combination of between and, we should always have an objective case. Now, what is objective case is her and me. Okay, me was an objective case if you remember the table. Again, after except, we have an objective case. No one will help you except him and not he. Now remember, but and except both have the similar meanings. But whenever we say but, there is a subjective case of pronoun. When we say except, there is an objective case of pronoun. These 5 rules are very important from the point of view of examination. Okay, is this clear? If this is clear, then we'll move on. Okay, so now what do you do when there are many pronouns in your sentence? How do you arrange them? Okay, suppose your sentence has I, she, he, it, they, them. Then what is the correct sequence to arrange them? So if the pronouns are singular, then you always arrange them as second person, third person, and first person. 2, 3, 1. What does that means? See, you is going to come, and then I. Okay, you is the second person and I is the first person. Okay. Again, if the pronouns are plural, or when you are accepting a mistake, okay, when you say sorry, then you will not say, suppose you have done a mistake and you want to admit it, then if you and your friend has committed a mistake, then what will you say? I and he is sorry. That is the correct way to say it, because you have to put yourself first, okay, whenever you are accepting the mistake. So if we have I, you, and he are responsible for the loss, okay, the way to put it is first, second, and third. While accepting a mistake, for singular also, you will not use this rule, because if you're committing a mistake, you have to put yourself first. So this is an exception while accepting a mistake, okay. And when the pronouns are plural, you have to put it in first person, second person, and third person. That is, we, you, and they are invited for the party. Okay. Now this is if your pronouns are singular and plural. What if you have a set of mixture of singular and plural? Then what you do is you first apply the second rule followed by the first rule. That is, you first place the plural pronouns, then you place the singular pronouns. That is it. So if you have you, they, and I, then you first place the plural and then place the singular. Okay. This is you just need this when you have to arrange the sentence. Okay, now what are demonstrative pronouns? So demonstrative pronouns, when you exactly know of which person or whom you're talking about, we use demonstrative pronouns, okay? When you're very sure of the topic or the subject which is being discussed. So if you are saying this, okay, this house or that house, and when you know particularly which house you're talking about, so you will use this, that, these, and those. So when to use this and these, okay, this is very important. When to use this and these, whenever your noun is singular, okay, and it is closer to you, you use this. So whenever it is singular, you use this, and whenever it is plural, you use these. Okay. When it is near to you, you will use this. Whenever it is far, so if you're talking about a house that is very close to you, will say this house, and if it's somewhere very far, then you will point it out and say that house. So that is the difference between this and that. Okay. What you have to remember is this and these. Don't make mistake in this and these. This is common mistake what students make. Okay. Now when to use those, when it is plural and far, use those. So this is the man who stole my phone. Okay, so if you're talking about a particular man, then you say this. And it is singular, so you'll say this. And if it is plural, girls is plural, so you'll say these are the girls who are playing in the garden. Okay. Okay, so indefinite pronoun. So whenever you are not sure of the number, okay, or the quantity of the subject. So if you want to say someone is outside, okay, or some people are outside and you don't know how many people or which people are outside, then you use some, somebody, nobody, one, and all. Now even in one or even in all, if you're not sure about the identity, it's going to be indefinite. Okay. So some girls are playing in the garden and somebody stole my purse. Now even in all, you know which all you're talking about, but you don't know the number. Okay, it is not mentioned. All of you go out of the class, but you don't know the number of students is not specified. So then it's going to be indefinite. Okay. Now reciprocal pronouns. Now pronouns will show that something is shared. Okay, whenever any activity is shared between two people, we call them as reciprocal. Okay, so each other or either is used with two entities, and one another is used with more than two entities. Okay, so Shiv and Raj support each other in difficult times. Okay, so each other, because we're talking about two identities. If it was Shiv, Raj, and suppose Mohit, then we wouldn't say each other. Each other will only come between two identities, and either will also again come with two identities. One another will come with more than two identities. So as a society, we should respect one another and not each other. Your each other will be incorrect. So remember when to use each other and when to use one another. Now what are compound personal pronoun. So whenever you add self or selves to a pronoun, it becomes a compound personal pronoun. Myself, yourself, himself, herself. Okay. Now reflexive pronouns. Okay. Whenever there is a subject and that subject is performing an action on itself, you say it is reflexive. So if I say I hurt myself, so whom did you hurt? You hurt yourself. Okay. So that this is reflexive. Now this is the subject and the subject is performing action on itself. So it becomes a reflexive pronoun. They love themselves. So again, it's going to be a reflexive pronoun. Okay. And the structure with reflexive pronouns is you'll have a I or they or whatever. For a subjective case, then there'll be a verb, and then there'll be that compound pronoun, themselves, myself. Okay. Now, what are emphatic pronouns? Now, whenever you want to emphasize, suppose you want to say a sentence, I cooked the meal. Okay, I cooked the meal. And suppose you want to emphasize the fact that you have cooked the meal. It's going to be K here. If you want to say that nahi, मैंने ही खाना बनाया है, so then you say I myself cooked the meal. Okay, because you want to emphasize the fact that you have cooked the meal. Otherwise, I cooked the meal is a sentence which gives the information, but you want to emphasize the fact, so you say I myself cooked the meal, or I solved this exercise myself. I myself solved this exercise, or you yourself ruined your trip. Okay, so it can be placed either after the subject or at the end of the sentence. So here it is placed at the end of the sentence. Here it is placed after the subject. Okay. Now, what are interrogative pronouns? Pronouns that question are interrogative pronouns. Who is on the call? Whom are you meeting today? Pronouns which are used as a question mark are called as interrogative pronouns. So now, when is what used? What is used when you want to ask some information or about occupation of a person or profession. So what are you? When you say what are you, means you are asking about what is the particular profession or the occupation of that person. What is your father? Is your father a doctor, a teacher, or a professor? What is your father? What is for dinner? Okay, interrogative again. What is the price? Again, interrogative. Okay. Now, when do you say who is your father then? You say who is your father when you want to extract additional information or a lot of information. So if I ask who is your father, then you will elaborately tell me about his profession, his name, his age. Then I will say who is your father. Okay. So who is your brother? My brother is Sam. He's a doctor. He lives in so and so on. Okay. Also, what is used when the subject or the noun is absent? That is, what has been taught in class will be asked in exams. So here, the chapters or the topics are not mentioned. It is just said replaced by what. What has been taught in class will be asked in exams. Or I can imagine what your condition is. Okay. So again, what is used whenever you don't mention. Here we don't understand if the condition is happiness or sadness. It is just what. Okay, so now distributive pronouns. Is it clear till here? Okay, so distributive pronouns are pronouns that distribute the action to every individual, exactly like each and every that we had and one another. Okay, so here we have either, neither, each and every. Okay, so either, neither is used again in 2 cases, and each and every is used in more than 2 cases. Okay, so okay, so now this is one rule. So whenever you have each, every, either, neither, okay, a noun, a verb, and a pronoun. Whenever your sentence is in this structure, a noun, a verb, and a pronoun, and you have each, every, either, neither, then everything is going to be singular. What I mean is when you have each, the word each here, then a noun, student is a noun, okay, then a verb, appear, must appear is again a verb, okay, and a pronoun, okay, then pronoun, you can have a pronoun and you cannot have a pronoun. In this sentence there is no pronoun, okay, everything has to be singular. So basically whenever there is each in the sentence, whatever comes after, it has to be singular. Okay, now if you see the second sentence, each student brought his own calculator. You have an each, you have student, that is a noun, which is singular. Then you have a verb, brought is singular, and in this sentence you have a his, you have a pronoun, which is again singular. Each student brought his own calculator. It sometimes we tend to say each students brought their own calculator. It is going to be incorrect. With each, every, it is always going to be singular. Okay, but if you have the word of the in between, if you have of the in between, what does of the means? Of the means you're selecting out of something. Each of the means each of this. Suppose if this is a group of students, okay, or a classroom of students, each of these students means I'm talking of each of the this collective group of students. So then the noun has to be plural. Each of the students is allowed to go out, because I am talking about, I am referring to some collective set. Okay, so whenever you have a of the noun will be plural and everything else will be again singular. So the difference is only in the noun. Okay, each of the students is each of the students, so noun is plural, is allowed to go out, and each of the students brought his own calculator. Did you all get the difference? See your each of the students, when it is plural, when you have of the, it will be plural, and each student when you don't have of the. Both these sentences are similar. The only difference is there is of the in one sentence. So whenever they have an of the, make the noun plural. Okay. Okay. So when do you use either or neither nor? See, when you say either or when you say neither, means what? When you have to, first of all, this is applicable only to two things or to two people. And when you have to say either, you say ki un dono mein se koi bhi ek, means what? Any of the two of them. But you don't use the word any. Any is used for more than two. Whenever there are two, you say either. Okay, so that is the difference between either and each. Okay, so whenever two or more singular nouns are joined by either or neither nor, use a singular pronoun. Okay, for example, either Reena or Shreya forgot her book. Now, forgot their book will not be the case here, because you're talking about only one of them. Okay, it has to be either Reena or Shreya. Both of them have not forgotten their books. Okay, that is why it is going to be her, because at the end only one of them has forgotten the book. So that is why it is going to be her here. So whenever you have either, use a singular pronoun. Okay, and when do you use a plural pronoun? Whenever a plural noun and a singular noun is joined by either or neither nor. What does that mean is either the manager or the assistants. Now you're talking about the assistants. Okay, assistants is a plural noun, and so the nearest pronoun will be a plural again. Okay, so if I had placed manager at the end, in the second case, if you see, either the assistant or the manager failed in his duty. Here the pronoun is singular, and because it is associated with manager. Okay, whenever you have a plural noun and a singular noun, here in this case both the nouns were singular. Here assistance is plural and manager is singular. That is why you're going to apply there. Did you all understand this, or you all want me to repeat it? Okay. So see, when do you say either? When you have two things, okay, and you have to select one thing out of it, you say either. Now these two things can be singular or they can be plural. Like I can have two teams. Okay, if I have two teams, or I have one boy and a team, I can still use either. Okay, because again a team is a collective sense, becomes one unit, and then the boy is another singular, another set. So then I have two sets and I can use either with it. So in the similar case, see, now if Reena, so in the first, now see the first sentence. Now if it was Reena or Shreya, only one out of them has forgotten the book, right? That is why the pronoun will be her. Okay, now, if Reena forgets the book, it's still going to be her only. If Shreya forgets the book, it's still going to be her. Okay. But in this case, now in the second case, if the manager forgets the book, it is going to be, if the manager fails his duty, it's going to be his. But what if, see, we are selecting among the manager and the assistants. But what if the assistants forget the duty? If the assistants forget the duty, then it is going to be their. So you don't know whether to use his or use their, because it is either the manager or the assistant. So what are you going to use? You can use his also, you can use their also. So, but what to use? So what will you use is what is the closest. Now you have to place the pronoun here. What is the closest to the pronoun? In the first case, the closest is assistants. So then you will place there. Okay. In the second case, the closest is manager. In the sentence, what is closest to the plural? That is what comes directly before. Okay, so you will use his. Now, if I gave you a sentence here, either Ritesh or Shreya forgot her book, then you cannot use her here, right? It will either become his or her. If I give you a sentence, forgot, then what will you use, his or her? I typed a sentence, okay? So forgot his or her book. You can use both because you don't know if it is his or her. But then if it is Shreya, okay, now the closest to the closest pronoun is what? Shreya, right? So it's going to be her. But if I frame the sentence like either Shreya or Ritesh forgot his book, then it will be either. Did you understand? If Ritesh comes second, if the sentence become either Shreya or Ritesh forgot dash book, then what will be the answer? No, I've given you an option, is his or her. So if Ritesh comes second, if the sentence becomes either Shreya or Ritesh, then it will be his, because Ritesh is closer to the pronoun. Did you all understand? So whatever will be closest, okay, will that pronoun we have to use. You remember these two examples, then the idea will be clear. Okay. So now relative pronouns. Okay, so what are relative pronouns? Which join a subject to the phrase. So you don't have to remember the name, just we'll move on to the rules of it. Okay. Okay, so now we are majorly confused between who and whom, when to use who and when to use whom. So what is the rule that you can be sure of when to use who and whom? So when we have a so now in this sentence, the girl who sang the solo is my best friend. Okay, your who will become your relative pronoun, and your subject is what? The girl. Whenever there is a verb for the subject, we have a who. What I mean is the subject is girl, and what is a verb for the subject? The girl has sang the song, sang the solo. Okay, so for the subject we have a verb, right? So then we'll have a who. Okay. Now if we have the sentence, this is the boy who stole my purse. The boy is the subject of our sentence. Okay. And okay, wait, I'll give you all examples and you'll understand. So the boy is the subject of the sentence. Okay. Then this is the relative pronoun. Okay. And what is the action performed? What is the verb of the boy? The verb of the boy is stole my purse. Okay. So is there a verb? So whenever there is a verb for the subject, we will have a who. Again, in this case, if you see, the girl who sang the solo, okay, the subject is the girl, and there is a verb for the subject, okay, which is sang the solo. That is why we have a who. Then we join it by who. See now, if you all see when to use whom, okay, when we do not have a verb for the subject, what I mean is, if I have a sentence, this is the boy whom I met in the market yesterday. So now the boy is our subject, right? Is there any verb for the subject in the sentence? Is there any verb for the boy? Has boy performed any action? If you see met, Met is the verb for I. Met is not the verb for the boy here. Is this clear? There is no verb. There is no verb for the boy. In this case, the boy had a verb. The boy had performed the action of stealing the purse. In this case, our subject, which is the girl, had performed an action of singing the solo. So there was a verb. So see, I've written here. The girl is the subject and sang is the verb for the subject. Again, in this case, the boy who stole the purse. The boy is the subject and stole is the verb for the subject. But when we use whom, when there is no verb for the subject, this is the boy whom I met in the market. Now, if you see, met is again a verb, but it is not for the subject. Okay, it is for not for the subject. Is it clear? Okay. So now, if I give you this example, this is the girl whom Rita taught dancing. Okay. So our subject is the girl. Okay. We are talking about the girl here. Okay. Now see, even Rita or even I, if I told you all the subject object table, if you'll remember, I is again a subjective case here. But here, what I mean by subject is what are we talking about? We are talking about the boy here. Okay. The boy is the main topic of the concern here. And there is no verb for that topic. So this is the girl whom Rita taught dancing. Here we're talking about the girl. So our main concern is the girl and there is no verb for the girl. Okay. The verb taught is for Rita. So then we use whom. Again, see, if you see this case, whom do you want to speak to? Whenever there is you now a shortcut way to remember this is whenever you have a you in the sentence, you use whom. Okay. You in the sentence as in if these typical cases, whenever we talk, we have these typical sentences that we say on a regular basis. Whom do you want to speak to, or whom do you want to meet, or whom are you talking? If it is shorter sentences, then you can directly go with whom. But if you have very long sentences, then you'll have to check for the verb again. Okay, don't use this shortcut. This is just for smaller sentences when you get very easily confused. So now, can you all give me the answer of this one, the first one? Just check if there is a verb for the subject or not, and you all will get your answer. Yes, so there is subject, there is verb, the boy. Okay, the subject is the verb is lost. The second one, yes, Pallavi, right? For the second one, our subject is child. Is there any verb for our subject? Yeah, so what will we have here if there is no verb for the subject? Pratiksha, what will we have here? If there is no verb for the subject, what do we have, Pratiksha and Rahul? Yeah, we'll have a whom. Okay. So see, here we are talking about this is the boy. So we're pointing out to that boy that this is the boy. This is our main subject. Okay. And there has to be a verb for it. And if there is a verb, then you use who. Okay. Otherwise you use, sorry, then you use who. Otherwise you use who. Now answer this one and answer it very, so you study the rule and then you answer it. Okay. First to tell me, is there a subject for the, is there a verb for our subject? No verb. So what? No verb for the subject. Read the sentence completely. Yes. Pallavi, is there a verb for our subject? Met is the verb for I. I met, right? Pratiksha and Pallavi. Your what will be the verb for the boy? The boy has stole the purse. So if you see carefully, stole is the verb for the boy here. This is the combination of the sentences that I had given you earlier. This is the boy, so we'll have who. We'll have who because there is a verb for the subject. This is as simple as this. If you find a verb for the subject, okay, then we have a who here. Okay. This who and whom is again one question at least I'll get on this who and whom. Okay, so you just study this, find out the subject, the main subject. Now don't get confused with this subject. Okay, that subject table which I gave you all, subject. I'm not saying this subject, I'm saying what is the subject of the sentence. This is the boy. We are talking about a boy. If you're showing your friend a boy, like this is the boy, so we are talking about the boy. Okay, and then if there is a verb, you put a who for it. Okay, now whose? Now this is easy. The boy whose parents were killed in the accident. Whenever we want to show ownership, possession, or belongingness, we use whose. The man whose bike was stolen yesterday. Okay. Then when to use which? Now we use a which when in case of non-living things, in case of animals, or when we have extra information. For example, let's go one by one. Non-living things means what? The door which is painted red, the book which I ordered online. Okay. I like the house which faces east. And in case of animals means what? The horse which I bought. Okay. Or if you want to give some extra information, he is your which is fortunate. Okay. Now this is just a phrase. So if you cannot use a that here, you have to use a which. Okay. He said he saw me, which was a lie. Okay. Again, which is your book. So if you want for selection, if it is a question, then you use which. Okay. So when to use that, that is used when you want to replace which sometimes. Okay. Now that and which are used interchangeably, but you have to remember these certain rules. Then in which places you cannot replace them. In most of the cases, you can replace and use them. So when is that used? That it can be used to replace only if you want to replace. I remember the day on which he came. I remember the day that he came. Okay. Even this is correct. Even this is correct. This is the report to which I was referring. This is the report that I was referring to. Both the sentences are correct. Okay. So now when can we not use that? Okay. Now you have to remember this, that when can you not use that? Now suppose if you're saying my father, that is a schoolmaster. We cannot use that when we are talking about something that is a single attribute. Means what? You have one father, right? So if you have one father, you cannot use that. You can only use a that when you have two or more things and you are selecting or talking about one of them. If you have two brothers, then you can say my brother that is a schoolmaster. If you have two sisters, you can say my sister that lives in New York. So you're talking about one of your sister who lives in New York. Okay. If you have one house, then your sentence will be my house which is in Delhi is huge. But if you have two houses, then you can say my house that is in Delhi is big or huge. Did you all understand this? If you have one house, then you cannot say that. If you have one father, then you cannot say that. If you have one particular thing, if you have one bike, then you cannot say that. Okay, if you have one bike and you're talking about it, then my bike which is red in color. If you have two bikes, one is red, one is yellow, then you say I have one bike that is yellow in color. Is this clear? Okay. Now that is used for persons again, for things, for pair of subjects. Okay, or for person plus animal in combination. Person plus animal, when you have person plus animal, you use this. The man and his cat that take a walk every day. Then you will not have a which here. Okay, the person and his cat that take a walk, or this is the boy that I told you of, the crowd that gathered. Okay, now again that is used when that is used in superlative degree. Student of the year is the worst movie that I ever saw. Okay, now here you will not put a which, you will put a that. Okay, this is the best that we can do, this is the best which we can do. It will be again incorrect. We need a that with superlative degree. So remember these rules. When you have to use that. Okay, and the rest of the times you can use a that or a which. Again, sentences beginning with an interrogative word. What is that? What is there that is impossible for my friend? Again, it's an interrogative sentence, so you cannot use a which here. You'll need a that. You will always be confused between which and that. Rest pronouns, who, whose, you will know when to use. What is there that I do not know? Okay, again, because it's interrogative, we'll use a that. Okay, again, that is used with the words the same and such. Okay, and also all that glitters, indefinite pronouns, which is all that glitters is not gold. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, all can be anything here. So all that glitters, we'll have a that. All which glitters is incorrect. This is the boy whom I saw in the market. Okay, but this is correct. But if you're using the word the same, if you have the same in the sentence, then you'll have a that. This is the same boy that I saw in the market. Okay. Again, if you have a such in your sentence, then you will use that. It was such a hot day that nobody could work. Okay. So you remember these rules for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5, 6 rules for that. Okay. This is not a rule. This is just a case where you can use that and which interchangeably. So 5 rules where you have to use that. Okay. Also in sentence correction, this is many a times seen in exams. That is never followed by a comma. In Spot the Error, they'll give you sentences with a comma after that. So you remember there should never be a comma after that, and there can or cannot be a comma after which. After which, if there's a comma, it is still correct. But after that, we should never have a comma. Okay. So you all had doubts anywhere what I want me to explain, who, whom, or each, either, anything you want me to explain again? Okay, so just give me the answers for this exercise. First one. One thing, how to recall all this. See, now if you go through the entire lecture, you all don't have to remember the name of the types, or I gave you that in the beginning. I told you there are 8 types of pronouns. You all don't have to remember all this. What you'll have to remember is just the rules. Okay, whatever rules I tell you all, now for who and for whom, the only one rule is that you have a verb, then you place a who. Okay, so the entire PPT, out of the entire all the slides of the PPT, only 4-5 rules, important rules are there. Other thing is just the information. So if you make notes on your own, just write down the rules and just try to recall that table. Make that table and stick it on your wall or on your cupboard. That table is very, very important, and your entire pronouns will be done if you know that table. So now, as I told you, the table is important. So again, for this, you will need the table. So for the first one, can any of you all answer this? Give it a try. See, we have a was here. Okay. So after was, if you remember that rule, to be. Okay, so after to be, do you remember what to use? We have to use a subjective case. So what is the subject of, is her the subject form? Is her the subject form? I'm telling all the error, just tell me what will come in place of her. Or at least tell me the answer. What will come in place of her? Yeah. Rest of y'all, didn't y'all understand? We have a to be form. So after to be form, a subject case, the first rule that I taught. Pratiksha, Rahul and Rucha, did you all get it? So give me the answer then. So give answers. Give answer for the second one now. No, second one is just easy. You do not need any rules. Give me answers, just don't sit tight. No, we'll not have a yourself, we'll have a you. So yourself, we don't need a compound pronoun here, we just need you. Okay? Here, this sentence, do you all remember the sentence of the rule of subject? Either, neither, each and every. We have an of the here. Okay? So in case of the noun is always going to be plural. Okay? And everything else is going to be singular. So here, their, which is the pronoun, is going to be singular. So neither of the brothers has brought his bedding. Do you all get this? When we have a of the, whatever noun comes of the has to be plural, because in of the you're selecting. Of the means you're selecting a brother out of the brothers. Okay, so then it is going to be brothers, plural. You'll have to study that rule. Then fourth one, at least tell me the fourth one. None of y'all. Now, should I ask particularly one of y'all to answer? Okay, so here, since we have either is used only when there are two things. I said this multiple times. So how will you use either when you're talking about four sons? We should have an any, right? Any of his four sons. Okay. So the next sentence, the mother and the son, what will we have here? Yeah, we'll have a there. Rahul will have a there here, not her. Because and, see, that is the difference between and or. And means we are talking about both of them. When we are talking about both of them, we have to give a plural pronoun, right? Because there are two things. So then we'll have a they are. Okay. What if now I'm giving you one question, just give me the answer. What if the sentence was either the mother or the son gave dash consent? Either the mother or the son gave dash consent. Okay, right, his. And if the sentence would be either the son or the mother gave dash consent. Okay. I know which you say. What is I know which you say? Is this correct? So what will we have here? I know what you say. Whom you say कैसे आएगा? I know what you say. I understand what you say. I understand what you feel. I know what you say. Okay, seventh one. It was by luck that you, we, and they were away from danger. Now, again, two rules I gave you all to arrange when you have multiple pronouns. Now, first find out if they are singular or plural. Are these singular or are these plural? At least tell me if they're singular or plural. Use your chat box. You all don't want to solve this exercise. Come on, fast, last three are remaining. Plural, okay, right, plural. So then how will you arrange it? What was the rule? The rule was 1, 2, and 3 for plural, and 2, 3, and 1 for singular. So 1, 2, and 3 means what? First person, second person, third person, right? So we, you, and they. It was by luck that we, you, and they were away from danger. Sunil is stronger than me. Now you remember those 5 rules I told you all. When to use subject, when to use object case. Whenever we'll have a to be, whenever we'll have a than, whenever we have a but, we'll use a subject case. Whenever we'll have a between and whenever we'll have an except, we'll use an object case. You'll remember that slide. After than, what do we have after than? I don't know what slide it was. Forget it. After than, we have a subject case. Okay, so we'll have an I. Sunil is stronger than I. My house is better than you. We'll have an am also here. Okay, Sunil is stronger than I am. My house, okay, Pratiksha, right. My house is better than you. Is this correct? Ninth one. My house is better than your house or yours. Okay. Because we are not comparing the house with the person. We are comparing the house with the person's house. Yeah. Your house or yours house. Yours. Okay. That's it. The rules are very, very important. Go through all the rules. Okay. And this is the vocab that I had discussed. So if you just read it, you'll understand. Okay, so these are 2 root words, and these are the words out of them. Now just remember this word egotist and egoist. Don't get confused, because egotist is a person who deeply loves oneself. Okay, and egoist. Okay, I'll tell you all. Wait, first you listen to this. Egoist is a person who is negative. Okay, egoist can be a person who is too much in love of oneself or too narcissist, or matlab, it is very very negative how the persons love oneself. Egotist, it is a good thing to love yourself. So egotist has a positive connotation, egoist has a negative connotation. Okay. Okay, and vocabulary. Now vocabulary I had told her on the very first day. So we had how many days after our first lecture? I guess more than 15 days. So I told her on the very first day, take 10 words and remember and write it down. Make a book of those 10, make a book of your vocabulary. Every day put a date, write 10 words. See, 10 words don't take more than like 2-3 minutes of your day. Okay. But 70 words, it's good that you have collected 70, but 70 is not enough, because see, one thing you have to understand, that vocabulary is the most scoring. Okay, you'll have a closed test on vocabulary, you'll have vocabulary in synonym antonyms, you'll have vocabulary in the passage. Again, in the passage, they're going to give you words and they're going to ask you to find the closest meaning to the word. So, which is the most scoring without any rules, without any, yeah, how to remember is the issue. So that's what I'm telling you. I myself have a one big complete one diary. Okay, and out of that one diary, you start writing 10 words. Okay, and depending on your capacity to memorize, if you can memorize, then go to 50. And see, let me tell you frankly, one day you do 10, the next day if you revise the previous 10 words and the words that you do on the day itself, like itna difficult it will be, you tell me. So for the 10th day, you will be reading the first 10 words. Day one ka 10 words for the 10th time. You will by hearted by then. You'll have to take vocabulary very, very seriously. See, grammar and all is one thing, but vocabulary is going to fetch all the maximum marks in seconds. Okay, it's going to be 1 second and 1 mark in your pocket. And if you want, we can do that. Word power to suna hoga na, have you all heard? Like y'all want a session on only vocabulary, so we can take like root words. Okay, so there's this book word power. Okay, and in that it is a very nice book, but it is such thick book. Okay, and उसमें root word दिया है, and then again 5-10 words out of those root words. So we can do that. That will cover the most common words that you'll find. So we can do a lecture on that. But then are y'all flexible with the timing, or if we have like lectures back to back? Okay. So tell me, how many of y'all are appearing for this IBPS PO? Are y'all giving any exams this year? IBPS clerical and PO, I guess. Clerical is there, right? In December. Okay. Okay, so you have to pace up. So then we'll have to finish the syllabus also quick. Okay, then vocabulary ka session I'll keep one session on that book. But see, that's what I'm telling you. Even if I teach you all 100 words in that session, it is not going to be enough because it's infinite. So you all keep this habit, please. Vocabs marks. At least if you have 30 mark paper, then at least 5 or 6 average. I'm telling you, 5 or 6 average. See, and the main problem is now, जो passage देते हैं ना, they'll have such vocabulary in it ना. If you don't know the meaning now, you will not understand at times what they're trying to say, and then you cannot decode. So for the answers, you will not be able to understand what the passage is saying. That is why you need vocabulary. I will take a session, but for y'all, for self-improvement, you'll have to do 10 words. Rahul, if you've done 70, it is good, but then if you have to really clear the exams, it shouldn't have been 70, it should have been 150. Yeah, they tell to read the passage. You have passage reading also, right? How many of you, like Pratiksha, Pallavi, have you all done vocabulary? Or you all want me to post like 10 words every morning in that group? But then are you going to like really study those 10 words? But then you'll have to really promise that you're going to study. Then I'm going to take the efforts of doing that. I don't want you all to like leave it on red. Okay. So I'll keep it between 10 and 15. So in a month's time, we'll have like 300 to 400 words with us. And any doubt if you'll have knowing whatever I teach or whatever, then you text me on that group or personally, okay? And don't worry about these rules. See, ek do bar if you only read the slide, you're going to be well used to it, okay? Anything else you'll want to ask? And y'all are all okay. Okay, test. So after every lecture, I'll ask you all then about the vocabulary. But if I give you all the words, I'll give you all 15 words or 10 words. See to it that the next day you'll make a diary. First, make a book. Make a book, write those 10 words, and every day add 10 words to that book and study the previous day ka words. Now, see, I cannot do this with you all. I can give you all new 10 words every day, but what about the previous words? See, the key to remember these words is revision, nothing else. Just revision, matlab, it's plain ratta. Nothing more than ratta. There is no rules, no logic, nothing. So for ratta, you have to revise it again and again. So make a book, write the words down, and read them every day. Yeah, okay, cool. Lecture book, no one. Okay. Vocab. Okay, then. So then let's not have a vocab separate lecture for vocab. Let's do it in the group. Okay, let's not waste an hour for a lecture because it's going to be very informative. Okay. Okay, then word power only. I'll convert it into word MS Word and I'll send it. Okay. The name is. The thing is ना ये book ले तो सब लेते हैं but hardly people study it because पहले book is so thick. But if you are a reader, and I will tell you all, if I'll read this book, it's beautifully written. Okay, one root word he's taken and he's given you all at least 5 words out of that. Very beautifully written. And I have studied that book. So if you buy the book, well and good. If you don't, then I will from page 1. Let's start in our group. But then 10 to 20 ke range mein I'll give you all. Okay, just do it every day. Okay, then that's it. Should we log off? Yeah, WhatsApp only. We'll not have a lecture then for vocab. Okay. Okay then. Thank you. Bye.